Alright, hello everybody, this is Intermediate O. I know it's been a while, I'm an Evangelion fan living in Tokyo, and I haven't really uploaded videos in a while, you know what I mean? So this is kind of a video giving an explanation of that, and also talking about kind of me coming to terms with the final Evangelion film. So yeah, that's what this is going to be about. And so for the people who haven't really been following my channel, I watched the final Evangelion film in Tokyo, like the first day it came out, the morning it came out, and I did not like it. I have since seen the movie many times since then, but the thing is, though, is that me not liking the movie is not why I haven't been making YouTube videos, but it is related to it. And so if you're more interested in hearing me go kind of more in-depth into why I didn't like the movie, but not in a spoilery way, like you can go check out my spoiler-free review, so it's like you don't have to worry about that. And I would like to do like a spoiler-filled review someday. I could do that now, but I'm actually want to save that to do like a video in the future about like kind of why I don't like the movie and why I think it's bad. But then now, switching to the main topic, which is, you know, kind of the disappointment after I saw the movie, I'm just going to be 100% completely honest. I got over it pretty dang fast. Like, I was able to accept the movie for what it was basically the day it came out. Like, I basically had no, like, delusions upon seeing it. Like, if you go watch my review, I talk about how I saw it 3 times on the opening day, and it was, like, pretty much immediately on the second viewing, I was just like, oh no, this is exactly what I thought it was. And I was basically just like, you know, it's like, you get what you get. Like, they can't magically undo the movie. Like, the movie is what it is. And so, as somebody who was not a fan of 3.0, and I thought that 3.0 was just disappointing, not even from an Evangelion standpoint, from being an Evangelion fan, just 3.0 was disappointing to me as a story, and as the third entry of a continuing story, that I was just really holding out hope that maybe the fourth movie could kind of tie the tetralogy together in some way, and then also maybe in some ways redeem the third movie, which, in my opinion, it didn't. And just from the perspective of it being a story and telling a story and including a story of 4 movies, like, it was pretty bad, in my opinion. So the thing that did nag at me after watching the movie and after it coming out was just the idea of, could they have actually ever have concluded it satisfactorily to me? And so my main thing is, one of the reasons why I don't like 3.0 is I feel like there were so many story threads that are just like, I don't know how they could make them make sense. And ultimately the answer is they couldn't. But as somebody who liked 1.0 and 2.0, I really did like 2.0. I'm a genuine fan of 2.0. There were still story threads in that I was wondering, like, what are the answers to those mysteries? Like, what were those answers? And so now with the final movie coming out, we got some answers. We ignored some other mysteries. We ignored some other plot threads that are just completely dropped. And so what we did get wasn't satisfactory at all to me. So that was the one thing I would think about after the movie came out. I would think about, like, well, could they have even done it? Like, basically, what I was doing was, in my brain, I was writing fan fiction, you know what I mean? Which, I have never written fan fiction, but you know, like, sometimes I do when I watch a show, I'm just like, oh, like, if I could have did it, I would have did this. But most of the time, it's like literally like a plot point, you know what I mean? Like, change a plot point. Never just like, oh, like, I would change the movie entirely, or change this episode, or change this show, or change this arc of the show entirely. Like, normally, my brain stuff is never doing that. Like, it's never going that far. But for Evangelion, for some reason, it did. And when I think back on it, it's like, this is something I've been doing since 3.0. And so basically, before I ever saw the final film, in my brain, I have always kind of, you know, fantasized about an alternate timeline, 3.0, that kind of followed the preview that we got at the end of 2.0. So that's something that I've always thought about. And I've even thought about, like, oh, like, maybe I should, like, kind of write an outline for that one day. Because it is pretty solid in my brain. Like, hypothetically, you know, if I could write a 3.0 that would have followed the trailer at the end of 2.0, I pretty much know what I would have wanted to do and what I would have wanted the arc of that movie to be. And so, yeah, like, that's fun. Like, I do think about stuff like that. In recent years, though, I did kind of start to do that for 3.0 proper as well, where I would kind of think, well, 3.0, even though I don't like 3.0 that we actually got, I do think that what is there could be salvageable. Like, just me in general, I feel like whatever you want to argue the theme of 3.0 was, like, it's not really supported by the film itself. Like, there's so many there's so many ways you could like contradict like whatever message you want to take away from the movie or whatever. Even the plot itself is like contradictory, like it's so bleh to me. But it is kind of different and ambitious in certain ways. So it does kind of make me think like, oh, could they have told a good story with like, you know, the 14-year time skip and the Nerve versus Vile storyline. And so I do think about that as well. And I kind of have also built up like, you know, a fan fiction version of, you know, a time skip version of 3.0 too. So with the final movie, this thing, I never really attempted to even try to think about like what the last movie would be like. So if you have been following my channel for a while though, you know that I did release kind of theory videos before the film came out. And that was just kind of something that I thought was fun. Like I do like just kind of fun fan theorizing like that. But in a lot of those videos, I'm very clear that all the things that I feel like could have happened or that were pointing to have probably would have happened, I was not a fan of. So I don't really want to spoil the final movie for the people who like, you know, haven't read spoilers yet, or they're just waiting to go see it themselves. But for people who have seen those videos and do know the spoilers, you can probably tell like what is different between the theories and what actually happened. And in my theories though, I was always very clear that it's like a lot of my theories were based on stuff that I thought would happen, not necessarily that I would want to happen. So I never had a problem with that. Like I never had a problem with, you know, what I got wrong with my theories. Like basically when I was watching the movie, I was never even really thinking about like, oh no, I got that wrong or anything like that. So going back to the whole like, you know, the fan fiction in my brain version of 3.0, I never really thought about, you know, doing that with 4.0. Like I've never had like a 4.0 fan fiction going on in my brain or anything. But so after I saw the final movie, I ended up kind of doing that. I did end up kind of thinking like, well, if you didn't really like it that much, like, do you even think you could have liked it? Like, is there anything they could have done to make it satisfactory? Like, even with what they were given, like, even with just rearranging what they had, basically just like remixing it. Like, if they came and gave me the script before they submitted it to actually like turn it into a movie, like, could I have taken what was there and make it work for me? And so I was thinking that, like, I would think about that a lot. And then it wasn't long after seeing the movie. Like, it was definitely like, so, okay, I've seen the movie 8 times. Don't get on me about it. But, you know, I would take breaks between seeing it. Like, there was a while there where Tokyo was shut down, like, where all the movie theaters were shut down for, like, a month. So, like, I didn't go at all during that time. And then now I've gone, like, twice since they've opened up back up again. It's a whole thing. But definitely, like, after the initial release, and, like, just during the time that I have been rewatching it, I want to say, like, it was probably just a couple weeks. It was probably, like, 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe, like, after the movie originally came out. I basically just thought of the perfect ending to me. So, like, in my brain, I'm just like, oh no, like, it could have ended good. Like, I'm basically just like, oh no. Like, it's not that this was an impossible task. They just didn't deliver. They just dropped the ball. So, yeah, ever since I basically had the ending that I feel like should have worked and could have worked, I've gone backwards and I'm like, okay, well then can you flesh out the rest of the movie to make that work with the ending and just like all the other problems I had with it as well. And all that stuff has basically just sorted itself out naturally as well. So basically I'm sitting here and in my brain, I already have the perfect version of what the final movie could have been. And so yeah, that's basically how I got over the movie. Like it was pretty soon afterwards, like probably like what I just said earlier, like probably a couple weeks maybe. And then I came up with like, you know, my fan fiction version in my head and I'm just like, oh no, that totally works. And so now whenever I go see the movie and like whenever I think about the movie, I'm still like disappointed in them, but I'm not like itching for a fix of any more Ava or any more lore or any more answers from them. It's just like now I can basically just watch the movie and like think about it and analyze it from like, you know, kind of a more historical and like academic perspective. And from that perspective, it is very interesting. Like when I do think about it, and especially I didn't mention this earlier, but this probably also just helped seal the deal to me where I basically just like over the film was the documentaries that they released on the behind the scenes of the making of the movie. And even in my spoiler-free review, and even in my spoiler-filled talks that I actually did like on some live streams after the movie came out, I basically explained what my problem with the movie was and like why I felt like, you know, certain balls were dropped. And when I watched the documentaries on the behind the scenes, basically all my suspicions were like confirmed. Like all of my problems with like the film being kind of empty and just like meaningless and basically just slop. And I don't mean sloppy, I mean like literal slop. Like it is just jumbled together, thrown in a pig pen and just like let the hogs have it. Like that's what I mean. And that's basically what the documentary is confirmed as well. And yeah, so that's basically the story of how I got over Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0. Just, I made fanfiction in my brain, that's all I did. And for the people who are asking, oh, like, well, then what did you think of? I totally would want to share that with you. And so the problem is that what I thought up in my brain, originally I was like, oh, that is good. Like, I should just share that online. Like, oh, that's how I would have ended it. But the problem is that the ending that I thought up is so good that I almost don't want to share it. Because I'm almost like, if I share it and I ever see that in any media from this point until I die, from now on, I'll be like, did somebody steal that from me? And I'll be like a little bit bitter on the inside. And so that's the main reason why I don't want to share it. This way, if I ever do see kind of that story point that I would have done come up in media, then I'll be like, oh, that's so cool that somebody else had that same idea as me. That's cool. Like that actually came to like fruition. As for what I would have done with the two hypothetical fanfiction versions in my brain of 3.0 though, like basically like 3.0 alternate timeline that follows the preview at the end of 2.0, and then the 3.0 that just kind of remixes the 3.0 that we got it into like a more cohesive and like thematically coherent story in my perspective. Those two ideas I actually would be okay discussing, but I almost feel like that'd be fun to do, like, you know, a video down the line. Like, you know, maybe, I don't know how like passionate I would be about making a video version of those stories, like explaining the stories. But if you would like to hear those, I guess give me some feedback below about if you would want to see what I would do from like you know, a script doctor's perspective of like what I would have done basically. Yeah, so I would like to do those videos someday. I actually don't know how I'd format them, but I think that those would be fun. But now, getting into the second part of the video, so some of you may still be wondering, it's like, okay, wait, if you're trying to tell us that you're over Evangelion, then why haven't you been making videos? And so, the reason why I have not been making videos isn't because I'm not over Evangelion. I consider myself I'm over Evangelion. The problem is that I do not like Evangelion, the final movie. So, even though I do want to make content analyzing it, the last thing that I said I would make on my channel before I kind of like disappeared was I would do a scene-by-scene summary of the movie. Currently, I have that summary like halfway done. The problem is I don't want to do the summary. I don't like doing the summary because I don't like the movie. But when I do the summary, I sound so neutral on it, you know what I mean? Because it sounds like a Wikipedia article, and I just can't bring myself to make such a neutral video on the movie. Like, I don't want to be propaganda for the movie. I don't want to seemingly endorse the movie in some ways. Like, I kind of just don't want to do that. And so since I've had such a hard time making kind of, you know, most of the time I feel like I hear people saying that they have a hard time being, you know, non-nuanced and like unbiased. But my problem is that like when I make the summary, I feel so unbiased. I feel so neutral in my speech and my explanation that it's frustrating to me, because it's like that's not how you really feel though. Like you want to go off on this scene right now, but I don't, because it's not an analysis of the scenes. It's just a summary of the scenes. So what I was thinking that I would do at the end of my summary is then maybe I would just do like a portion of the video discussing what I thought were plot holes in the movie. And then so that way people who want to watch the summary can, and then if they stay till the end, then I'll discuss what I thought were like plot holes in the movie. So yeah, that's basically why. That's basically why I have not been making videos, is because the next video I said I would make was a summary, and I haven't delivered on it. So I just feel kind of bad skipping that and going to the other movies. Only a few people have like been like, oh, like, are you gonna do the summary still? And I'm like, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still aiming to do it. Why I didn't feel too bad about putting it off though was that there's basically are pretty good summaries of what happened in the movie online. Most of them are taken from like, you know, Japanese explanations, but I feel like a few native English speakers have also discussed the movie online like in full summary. So that's why I also didn't feel like doing it, because like you could find that stuff if you wanted to, and I wasn't sure how big the audience would be for a YouTube video on it, especially I didn't mention it earlier, but like, so I have like half of the summary done already, and the video is already like an hour long. So like by the end of it, it's going to be like a 2-hour video, which is basically just the length of the movie anyway. So it'd be like that was the other thing, is I was being like so thorough as I go through it. You know what I mean? I even have like markers in the video to actually like put in the soundtrack at the end, where like, you know, where that song would play in the actual movie, it would play during my summary of the movie. And it was just feeling too big and too thorough for what I didn't really want to do as like a neutral thing. Like I basically just did not want to give an unbiased, video on the movie. Additionally, one of the other reasons why I did kind of put it off a little bit is because I was feeling pretty positive on the idea that they would get it to an international audience pretty soon. So I thought, like, after 1 month, after 2 months, maybe we would have news of like an international release by then. And that way people really wouldn't even want to, watch the summary because they would have it on the horizon. Because I feel like most people who would have watched the video as a summary would have, abstained if they knew it was like, going to be in front of them soon. But at this point, it's about 3 months later now, and the movie itself is still in theaters here in Japan. It just entered its last run phase, which nobody's sure how long that's going to last. Like maybe it's just a couple weeks, maybe it's another month. And then after that, so the thing is I was hoping it would be out by summertime, but because they have been so Japan-centric with pretty much all of the marketing ever since the movie came out, and it is kind of sad, like whenever I see stuff like on the Japanese Kara Twitter account or the Evangelion Twitter account, there are just so many like international fans who are just like, please release it, like why are you ignoring us, like international fans matter too. That's kind of sad. But my genuine take now is that they will not release it to international audiences until the DVD is out in Japan. And that's mainly because theatrical releases are so limited in the US right now. I think they still will do a theatrical release eventually. I believe, so G-Kids, who bought the DVD rights to the television series after Netflix got it, so they have like the TV rights to that version of it. So they might get the rights internationally, at least in the Americas, or Funimation might get them. And both of those companies, though, are really good at releasing theatrical releases. Funimation just released the Demon Slayer movie just a bit ago, and it was like a really huge release in the Americas, especially considering that there's still a pandemic going on. Huge release. Additionally, I believe that G-Kids just confirmed that they have licensed the new movie by Mamoru Hosoda, Bell, and I believe they've also confirmed that that one will be released theatrically too. And that hasn't even been released in Japan yet. Like, that's coming out next month. I'm actually really looking forward to it as well. So I was kind of hoping that something like that would happen, but it hasn't, and we're so far along now, because like now we're 3 months later. I feel like Japanese news of the DVD release is pretty much going to be imminent in the next few months. Like, we're not going to get the DVD release next month. Like, it's not going to come out in July. Hypothetically, maybe it could come out in like August, but I would say at the earliest, we're not going to get a DVD in Japan until September, like at the earliest. And I think they're going to hold off on all streaming of the movie and like international releases until then. I feel like if we were going to get like an international, like simultaneous theatrical release, like during the same time as Japan, or like, slightly during the, like slightly after the time of Japan, it would have been announced already. And I don't think they're going to go the digital first route. Like, even if they don't do a theatrical release overseas and they do it streaming like on Amazon Prime or something, I do not think they will stream it internationally until the day the Japanese like DVD and Blu-ray release comes out. Like, I feel like there's no chance of them ever like, streaming it overseas before they release it physically in Japan. And at this point, I don't think they're going to do an early theatrical release. And so that's why I feel like I was kind of screwed, because I was hoping something would happen by this point where I could kind of just like abandon the video. But I finally had like a fever pitch recently where it's like, man, I really do have videos that I want to make on it. So like I have like a lot of analysis video ideas. Like, I basically just have a list on my phone of all these Evangelion videos I want to make. And so one of the videos I want to make, I am going to make as soon as I finish this video. And that will be a video on what you should watch before you watch the final movie. And that's kind of the main reason why I'm making this video to begin with, is basically just an explanation of, oh, sorry, the summary isn't here, and just moving on into this other video. But the other point of this video is, if you want the summary still, tell me in the comments of this video. And as well, please follow me on Twitter. From now on Twitter, I'm going to start doing polls where you can tell me like what videos you want to see. Because I do have just a ton of like brainstorming videos where it's like, I would love to do a video on that, but I don't know if there's like enough people who would even be interested. So please follow me on Twitter and participate in those polls so you can like tell me what you want to see. And one of the first polls that I have up on Twitter, and I'll just like have the end date be super far so people can just continually vote on it, is, do you want to see a full summary of the movie from me still? If it seems like a lot of people still want to see the full summary, either here in the comments or if you go vote on my Twitter, then maybe I'll still release it because I already have it like half done. So I'm just like, oh, like if people still really do want it, then I guess I should do it. Basically, I've been trying to search for it out, and you know, Lady Luck has just not been on my side. So I guess hypothetically, like I still should do it if I want to like keep my word. You know what I mean? But so yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm over the movie. I'm totally over the movie because I have the perfect ending in my brain already. So the reason why I have not been making videos isn't because I hated the movie so much. It's because I hate the movie so much that I felt bad making a video that was so neutral on it. Like I didn't really want to make a neutral video for it. So that's the reason why I haven't been making videos. And it's just because that video I said I would make it before the movie came out. So I felt kind of obligated to make it my next video. And now I've just finally hit that tipping point where it's like, I guess it's been far enough away that like, maybe if enough people are like, oh no, we don't care if you don't make it, then I'll just not make it. You know what I mean? But if you want it, tell me below. In other news though, I guess I will start making new videos on the channel about Evangelion. And if you want to give me input on those videos, please follow me on Twitter to participate in polls about like which video you want to see from me next. I feel like most of the videos though, I do like them enough that eventually I will make all of them. It's mainly just to gauge which ones do people want to see the most, so I know which ones I should put like, you know, the most effort into and like, you know, move up the schedule. But yeah, next video coming out will be what you should watch before Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0. And so this is kind of a time-sensitive video, which is also why I kind of hit that tipping point where I wanted to just start making other videos again and not worry about the summary, is because I want to give people time, for people who watch that video, to actually watch the things that I recommend to them. Because some of them are short, like, you know, episodes of certain shows or certain movies, but some of the other stuff is just like entire television anime, and I'm just like, oh, like that's kind of a big ask, and I definitely do feel guilty like not getting those recommendations out earlier, so that way, like, you know, hypothetically, if I ask you, you should watch this anime because it looks like it heavily inspired the final movie, you would actually have time to go watch it. Because now we're sitting at probably like, you still got a couple months though, so it should be fine. Like, international release, I'd say is at least over a month away, probably 2 months away, 3 months away. So I still feel like you will have time to basically watch everything I recommend if you really want to prepare yourself for the final movie. And to finish off, here's an announcement of what that first poll will be on like the next video topics that I would like to discuss. So I have 3 of them that I would like to make next after this following video. So the first one is the problem with Mari Illustrious Makinami. This would basically just be an analysis video of kind of a main complaint I've had about Mari. So I'm a Mari fan. Like, I do like Mari. You know, up until the final movie, I guess I would say. I was a fan of where, you know, her potential as a character. I did have a problem with her though that was kind of exacerbated in the final movie. Like, it was the type of thing that I feel like I've never seen the fandom bring up, and then after the final movie, like, the problem got even bigger in my brain, where I'm just like it's a very strange observation, I guess, about Makinami that I would like to discuss in that video. So if you want to hear about it, go for that one. The next video would be the movie that inspired Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, and then parentheses, Sayonara Jupiter analysis. So this would just be kind of a quicker, just like little, like, you know, fun fact video about the film Sayonara Jupiter, which is also going to be discussed in my What You Should Watch Before the Final Evangelion movie, because it is a movie that pretty heavily inspired, like, there are plenty of direct references in both Evangelion and the final Evangelion movie itself to the movie. So I just think it would be kind of like a fun trivia video almost. And the last video idea is, why did they say that? And that would basically just be another kind of fun trivia video about certain phrases that they use in the movie that I'm pretty sure are references to other things. Like, there are certain kind of strange katakana phrases, or just like, you know, English phrases, which pop up in Japanese sometimes, that kind of seem strange for the characters to use, but I feel like the reason why they use them is because they are just kind of fun little nods and references to other things. So yeah, that's just another fun trivia video. So yeah, if any 3 of those sound interesting to you, go ahead, go to my Twitter, check those out. You can also comment down below to tell me which idea you would like to see the most after the next video that comes out, which is what you should watch before you see the final movie. And yeah, if you want to see the summary, if you guys really want to see the summary still, tell me, because I guess I'd still be okay making it. I just didn't really want to be neutral on it. Oh, and then last big thing is that I do plan, like, my ultimate goal. Like, I do plan. Like, my ultimate goal is I really do just want to have a trashing video on the movie. Like, I want to have a big, long, you know, like, hour-long special prepared for when the movie comes out internationally, so that people, once they see it, they can, like, you know, go to YouTube right afterwards, find my video, and basically get the lowdown on why I didn't like it. Like, if they see it and they liked it and they're like, well, what did you think was wrong with it? They can go to that video and check it out. Or if, like, you know, they didn't like it as well, they can come to my video and, like, feel validated. So yeah, so I would like to do that, like a big hour-long, like, Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 is trash. Here's why. I would still love to do that video. I still plan to do that video. And have that available as soon as it, like, releases internationally. You know what I mean? Like, I want to have that cushion so that people, once they see it internationally, can come to YouTube and, like, that's, like, the first video they watch maybe. If they really want to get their Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, like, analysis fix. You know what I mean? Alright, so that's it for today. And yep, so that's it. So comment down below, follow my Twitter, vote on the things, give me feedback, and yeah, see you guys all pretty soon.